Hello, I'm still not Corey, and I'm also still not a transphobe. Unlike Adele, perhaps. Maybe. She's not. She isn't. She isn't. She's not a Terf. I don't know where this came from, but let's look into it. But before we get into it, check out my merch. We've got Stupid Baby t-shirts for you. We have got Subtle Pride unicorn beanies. There aren't very many of these left, so you better get them quick if you want them. And also, answer this question for me, please. Are you a woman? Yes or no? That's all I need to just put yes or no in the comments. Go down there and put that. And if you don't, the video won't start. I'm waiting. Okay, let's start the video. So I've seen this article from page 6 about Adele, saying, Adele slammed for telling gender-neutral award show she loves being a woman. They say gender-neutral award show, they mean the Brits. The Brits combined the best female artist and the best male artist into the best artist category. Very simple. It's not that bad, it's fine. It's a perfectly fine thing to do. It means that the awards aren't segregated by gender, which is probably a good thing. I do have a video of exactly what Adele actually said. Here it is.
And also, you know, I understand why the name of this award has changed, but I really love being a woman and being a female artist. I do. I'm really proud of us. I really, really am. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good, that's fine. I think what she was saying is that she's really proud to be a female artist, probably because women have to face a little thing called sexism. So she's proud for having overcome that in some way. She's proud of female artists in general. Very nice sentiment, not at all transphobic in the slightest, but some people think it is. So the page 6 article goes on to say that Adele is being accused of transphobia for declaring at a woke gender-neutral award show that she loves being a woman. The Brits, I mean, I wouldn't say it's woke. I've only seen the Brits once, that was last year. Wasn't all that woke. It wasn't unwoke. It was an award show. That's it. It goes on to say the Rowling and the Deep singer made the remark at Tuesday's Brit Awards as she collected the prize for Artist of the Year. Despite support from the audience in London's huge O2 Arena, her comments quickly sparked outrage online, making her the latest high-profile figure accused of being a TERF or trans-exclusionary radical feminist. Really? Why don't we check Twitter to see who is calling Adele a TERF? Hold on a second. All I can see here are TERFs saying, I'm proud of Adele, people saying, hey, I'm looking for Adele being called a TERF, but I can't find it, and that's it. That's it, I can't find anyone. I genuinely struggle to find tweets calling Adele a TERF. And just for like argument's sake, why don't we look at, I don't know, JK Rowling TERF and see what comes up there. See, there you see people calling JK Rowling a TERF because she is one, and people also think that she is one. So makes sense here. Whereas, let's compare it to Adele again. People asking why she's being called a TERF and who's calling her a TERF. I feel like this might be slightly overblown and not quite what this article is making it out to be. But let's read on. Maybe we've got some insider information that we humble Twitter users are just not privy to. So the article does have a tweet. It says, please no, Adele can't be a TERF. A staunch feminist performer named Jacob told his thousands of Twitter followers. Why don't we just click through? I see. This Jacob person has 3,675 Twitter followers and is following 1,000 people. So in terms of influence, I don't think he has a huge amount in the Twitter sphere. I don't think this presumably cis dude, because he's got the rainbow flag and not the trans flag. I'm making an assumption, I know, sue me. I don't think this presumably cis dude has got a huge pool when it comes to the trans community thinking that Adele's a TERF. Like, so not really a great starting point here, right? One tweet from one guy saying, please, Adele, don't be a TERF, whose tweets are now protected so no one can see them. But surely he must have started a massive outcry against Adele. Surely. So there's a second tweet here, which must have been spurred on by this first one. Who'd have thought Adele was a transphobe and would use her platform to call for the destruction of the trans community, especially the confused teenagers? Another long-time Twitter user posted. Well, if they're a long-time Twitter user, then surely they must have a lot of pull. This tweet must have hit thousands of people's pages. Everyone must have seen it. If they have, they didn't interact with it. It has 19 likes, 1 retweet, and 17 quote tweets. I'll tell you this, that ratio is not a good one. If we actually look at the quote tweets, oh my god, we find that actually a lot of them are saying that apparently this original tweet is sarcasm, and the ones that aren't saying that it's sarcasm disagree with it. If we further read this thread, it is sarcasm. That's what the tweet is. It's not an actual criticism of Adele. So of these tweets used as evidence for the outcry against Adele in this article, we have one, which is saying, hey, please don't be a TERF. That is one tweet. I will give you that one. And the second one is being facetious and has been seen by almost exactly no one. In fact, I would wager that the majority of the views on this tweet, the majority of the people that have seen this tweet have seen the tweet because it was linked. Because it was linked in the article. Literally, the person that posted the tweet is an Adele fan account and has under 400 followers. I don't think it's newsworthy that a less than 400, not even a big Adele fan account, like a tiny Adele fan account, tweeted something sarcastic about Adele. The journalistic integrity here is just non-existent. Others complained that they had lost a lot of respect for Adele and would no longer spend a cent on her music. If these other tweets are anything to go by, then it's not a big deal, is it? So far, we have one person saying they won't want to spend money on Adele, another person joking about Adele, and a third person whose tweet can't be seen by anyone anymore because their account was put on private. So in terms of, like, you know, this massive outcry against Adele, is there an outcry? Is there really? I don't think so, but let's give the article the benefit of the doubt and read on. Here we have tweets from a lot of people jumping to Adele's defense. I don't know what they're defending her from. There's nothing to defend her from. Someone said, thank you for speaking 2 words being vilified. Woman, female. Here's the thing, I don't think Adele means what you think she means when she said that. She wasn't saying, I love being a woman. Like, you know, being a female artist is awesome, as a big middle finger to, this isn't my middle finger, as a big middle finger to trans people. I think she was just saying it as like, hey, we're women. Isn't that good? That's a nice thing. She probably includes trans women in that. That's a little spoiler for later. We'll get to that in a bit. The article talks about another tweet from Jane Simon saying she didn't know whether to cry or scream at the latest attacks. Well, I'm going to be honest, Jane. Neither, probably. What attacks? Which attacks are you talking about? The ones that you made up in your head? I wouldn't cry or scream at either of those. I would probably see a doctor if if some imaginary tweets that you just thought up are causing you such distress. It is honestly hilarious to me that these TERFs have imagined this outcry against Adele and have gotten so upset by it. They are so terrified by their own imagination. It's like they have built like a scarecrow and then have immediately been terrified of this person that is standing in their field. It's exactly what they've done. It's like that meme. You know the meme where like someone like paints a bunch of like people like and then they're scared of it? It is literally that meme. It is on screen right now. That is exactly what these TERFs are doing. Another quote, a decade ago, if someone had said a woman would be criticized for the thought crime of saying she liked being a woman, I would have laughed at such a ludicrous suggestion. Now it is happening, she wrote. But it isn't. I'm sorry, like, this is bad. This is really, really bad that, like, you know, this has managed to become such a massive news story out of, like, nothing. It is really bad. But it is also kind of hilarious how terrified these people are of just this thing that they have constructed entirely by themselves. Like, they have made all of this up and they are horrified by it. It's just ridiculous. But to be absolutely clear, there is no issue here. I have not seen a single trans person upset at Adele. Like, literally not a single one. Even searching through Twitter, the only thing you can find is people asking where all the mean tweets about Adele are, which, if there was really calls for Adele to be cancelled, that's not what you'd be seeing. It's really not what you'd be seeing. The article then says, in an op-ed in The Spectator, teacher Debbie Hayton said that Adele risked joining the group of talented women like Harry Potter author JK Rowling who have been pursued and persecuted mercilessly simply for standing up for their sex. So JK Rowling wasn't just standing up for her sex, she was actively being a little bit mean to trans people. That's maybe a little bit of an understatement, but at the very least, she was being just a tad mean, just a little bit. The framing of this situation as this talented woman, JK Rowling, who's been mercilessly hounded for simply saying that being a woman is okay. You can say being a woman is okay. Maybe don't in the same breath attack trans people. That's probably the issue. It's not the whole, like, you know, woman thing. It's the whole transphobia thing. I feel like you're a little bit confused there. But they then go on to say, Adele's message to women and girls was inspirational. Here was a woman who has sold tens of millions of albums, telling the world she was proud to be a woman. That's something to celebrate, not condemn, she wrote. I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's just very, very lucky that almost no one condemned her for it. 2 random people on Twitter. Realistically here, if we were going to apply this to everything, then everyone's being condemned for everything literally all of the time. I cannot believe that 2 mean tweets, not even mean tweets, no, that's not even right, that 2 somewhat negative tweets have caused such a media frenzy about Adele being cancelled. These people are unhinged. They are absolutely unhinged. They are just so dedicated to putting themselves in this victim role that 2 tweets from 2 random people with like less than 5,000 followers put together is enough for them to just go nuts and say that everyone's out to get us. No. That was applauded. There was a massive applause there. Like, you heard it. We all heard it. What the hell? The article then goes on to say that the teacher said, girls need role models, and last night Adele stepped up to the plate. For that, she deserves applause, even greater than the adulation she received for her music. She was literally applauded! Did you watch the same fucking video? There was like a massive round of applause! What the hell? Did you watch it? Did you watch the video? Did you just read the quote and then decide to come up with your take on it? I don't understand how anyone can genuinely believe what they are saying. It's pretty clear to me that the people that are talking about this outcry against Adele have either been duped by the media frenzy, like they were tricked into thinking there was a problem when there literally was not one at all, or they are engaging in bad faith. By which I mean they are TERFs and they know that it is very, very useful to them to make it seem as though trans people are so soft and so sensitive and so touchy that you can't even say I love being a woman without pissing them off. But like, that is obviously not the case. That is obviously not what has happened here, but it's very much in TERF's best interest to make out to the rest of the population that trans people are insane. And that's exactly what they're doing here. That's why, while I say this is ridiculous and hilarious, it is actually quite serious.
No, but it's not funny. At the end of the day, is it? It's serious.
It is an actual problem that TERFs are trying to turn people against trans people by pretending as though there's this massive outcry when there isn't. They are straight up lying, and you can see it. Like, all you need to do is search Adele TERF on Twitter, and you can literally see that they're lying. But people won't do that. Not enough people will do that. People will just read what is in the papers, will just read these articles and think, wow, aren't these trans people so touchy, so sensitive? You can't say anything on them anymore. You can't even say I love being a woman. Wow, yeah, you know what? You know what? Maybe these trans people are asking for a bit too much. Like, it is literally just a ploy to turn people against trans people. That is exactly what it is. Luckily, Adele has actually spoken out about this, which is good on her for doing that, right? This article from The Independent talks about how a very small number of people online then suggested that Adele's words were intended as a coded statement against trans people, with several news outlets reporting on the supposed backlash to her comment. The fact that like 3 tweets is news is obscene. It isn't. It's not news. It's a trick to make you not like trans people. I know it sounds crazy, but like literally you can look it up. You can literally see that no one is talking about this. The only people that are talking about this are TERFs and the news outlets that are platforming these TERFs and just believing them. Or the people writing these articles who are pulling out tweets from like accounts that no one is going to see the tweets from to back up their point that like it's just flat out untrue. Like, that is why they need to pull out these no-name tweets. Surely, if there was actual backlash against Adele, you would see, like, a trans person with a lot of followers talking about it. That is what happens every single time JK Rowling opens her mouth and says something transphobic. You get tweets from a bunch of prominent trans people saying, this is transphobic. Why didn't that happen with Adele? Because there was no outrage. There wasn't. It's just this manufactured thing for TERFs to get other people onto their side. It's unbelievable that this actually happened. And again, good on Adele for actually speaking out against this, and good on The Independent for doing some actual bloody journalism and actually telling the story as it happened. I love that it says a very small number of people online, which is so bloody true. However, Adele reportedly affirmed her stance on the matter during a surprise appearance at London's nightclub Heaven. So she went to Heaven and she said, you're all women who identify as women. I would love to see what the TERF response to this is. Because, hey guys, do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? You tried to get Adele on your side. You thought, oh, Adele's gonna be one of us. Adele's one of us.
One of us. One of us.
And everyone's mad at her. Like, it wasn't just enough for you to say that Adele was one of you. You had to make up that people were outraged, that there was this massive backlash at Adele. You had to make that up. And the funniest part is, you were wrong about all of it. You actively lied about it. And you were wrong about Adele's views. She disagrees with you. That is... And I hope this is clear to anyone that is on the fence right now. This whole TERFs versus trans people situation is not like equal ground. It's not equal footing. It is TERFs punching down at trans people at every single chance they can get. It is TERFs turning an innocuous statement about loving being a woman into something apparently transphobic to trans people. It is unbelievable. TERFs need to lie to get people onto their side. Like that is something they clearly need to do. They need to mislead you. They need to misinform you to make you believe them. Because ultimately, what is at the core of what they're saying? It is bigotry, right? It is just flat out disgust, dislike, mistrust for a group of people. But you can't sell that. You can't get people on your side quite as easily if you're just going to outright say, hey, no, I don't like trans people. I think they're kind of disgusting and weird. You can't get people on your side if you just outright say that. You can't get as many people on your side if you just outright say that. So they have to lie to you. They have to do that. That is necessary for them. And that is exactly why this Adele situation is a perfect microcosm of exactly what TERFs do. They lie and they make problems where there are none. They act as though there is like this unreasonable outrage at innocuous statements when there isn't. It is tiring to see this happen, and it's honestly despicable that so many articles have been written about a non-issue. And not even a non-issue as in people are outraged about it, but it's really a non-issue. A non-issue as in there was never any outrage in the first place. So just to be totally clear, is Adele a TERF? No, she isn't. She supports trans people. She says, if you identify as a woman, you're a woman. So you know what? Take that, TERF. And I think the worst part about this whole manufactured outrage is that there is actually a situation going on right now that is worthy of outrage. There is one that people are talking about. The whole thing with the leaked EHRC guidance about bathrooms and GRCs, gender recognition certificates. And if you don't know about this, this is something you should genuinely look into, because the Equality and Human Rights Commission, there is a leaked guidance from them stating that if you don't have a gender recognition certificate, you cannot use single-sex spaces as a trans person. You can't use the ones that are aligned with your gender. And just to put that in perspective for you, only about 1% of trans people in the UK have a gender recognition certificate. It is not something that you generally need in your day-to-day life. You could be at a point where most people, the average person, would deem you to have fully transitioned and not have a gender recognition certificate. It is not something that is absolutely necessary for living your day-to-day life. But apparently there is unpublished guidance from the Equality and Human Rights Commission stating that suddenly you might need to have this thing in your day-to-day life, which is a massive issue, right? And if you don't understand what this means, that means that trans people wouldn't be allowed to use the single-sex toilets that match their gender. They wouldn't be allowed to use changing rooms that match their gender. Anything that is a single-sex space would then be off-limits to about 99% of trans people in the UK. And on top of that, how would it be enforced? The truth of it is that there isn't really any solid way to enforce it. Bear in mind, not only is this like sort of prisons and shops and gyms, it's also toilets and changing rooms. Banning 99% of trans people in the UK from those spaces that match their gender. That is unbelievable. But on top of that, it's not just something that would affect trans people. Yes, that group is the intended target, but also anyone that doesn't look enough like their gender would be targeted too. So let's say you're a lesbian that looks a little too masculine, or an intersex person that doesn't quite fit someone's idea of what a man or a woman should look like, then that's going to affect you too. That's not to say that it just affecting trans people isn't bad enough. It is despicable, deplorable. My point here is to highlight to you that it's probably going to affect more people than you would initially consider. And as I've said, it's not totally enforceable, so why even have the guidance anyway? Well, the fact is that if you have that guidance there, people are going to feel very comfortable in just rejecting trans people from certain spaces. They feel they won't get in trouble for it. And to be honest, it makes it easier for them to get out of getting trouble for it, because they are following the guidance of the EHRC. Ultimately, the thing to take away from this is that things are so bad in the UK for trans people right now that the Equality and Human Rights Commission are specifically targeting them. This whole Adele thing is a distraction. There are actual problems for trans people in the UK right now. And like, people want you to ignore it. They do, man. They want you to ignore it. But like, really, you shouldn't. If you see a massive outcry against some celebrity for saying something supposedly transphobic when actually it was innocuous, maybe look into it. See if there actually is an outcry. And if there is a backlash to it, read what people are saying. Try to understand it, because things are pretty bad right now. And if there is a backlash, there's probably one for a good reason. In this case, obviously, there wasn't a backlash because there wasn't a good reason for backlash. You need to be wary because TERFs will try to trick you. They will try to get you to their side. They want you to dislike trans people and they're going to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. That is their goal. They just don't like this group of people and they want you to join them. They're gonna lie to you about it. And if you're kind of new to this whole topic or ignorant to it, then you have no reason to know that really, right? You don't really know much about it. You can only know what you see in the news. And if what you see in the news is JK Rowling making her statements about it and TERFs making up that there is this backlash against Adele for saying something that literally no one is mad at her for, then like, of course you're gonna drift towards the side of transphobia, drift away from supporting trans people. Like, that is their goal. And you need to absolutely avoid that because I promise you they are bullshitting you. I cannot believe that this became such a massive story from literally nothing. 3 tweets. 3 bloody tweets. Imagine if every single time 3 people tweeted about not liking something, there was a news story about it. Unbelievable. Thank you very much for watching. By the time I've uploaded this video, hopefully my friend Jamie will have uploaded his video on the topic. If he has, then it will be linked in the description. I haven't seen it yet, but I do know that Jamie is very good at talking about these kinds of topics, and so I would definitely recommend that you go and watch it. If he decides not to do a video on the topic, then I'm going to look very silly right now, aren't I? Anyway, as I said, thank you very much for watching. Check out my merch, comment below letting me know if you are a woman, I guess. And yeah, join my Patreon. You know, the patrons are going by here. I have to say thank you to Renegade for being a patron. You could be thanked as a patron if you head over to my Patreon and join a specific tier, all of that stuff. I think that is more or less everything I've got to say. Goodbye.